Good evening, Little Masters, and welcome back to Season 2 and Episode 31 of the Rings of Power wrap-up, where James, Sara, and I are competing to see how many direct quotes we can use completely out of context.
Yep, it's what we're doing with the time that is given us.
One up. Nicely done. Yeah.
Folks, it's time to pull up a bench in the common room. I'm Sara Brown, Shield Maiden of Rohan.
And I'm James Tauber, the Sage of the South. And we're both here with Alan Sisto, the Man of the West.
And tonight we're going to be talking about Season 2, Episode 6 of Amazon Prime Video's television series, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. And this episode was titled, Where Is He?
Now, before we get started, we want to offer a warm welcome for those of you joining us for the first time. Here at the Rings of Power wrap-up, we talk about the characters, the story, and the lore behind the Rings of Power.
And we'll be diving into some of Tolkien's biggest themes as well. Things like mortality and immortality, fate and free will, as well as things like fellowship. And of course, we're going to do our fair share, or more than our fair share, of speculating.
We hope you'll learn something new about Tolkien every time you listen. And we hope you have a few laughs in the process. We're glad you've joined us.
And we hope you'll be glad you joined as well. Right, before we get into the episode discussion, do we have any corrections to make?
I certainly do. I want to correct something I said about the pronunciation of Celebrimbor's name. Now, one of the things I said was that the accent on the I doesn't change the stress. What I was actually trying to emphasize was the accent doesn't indicate stress.
Right.
It indicates vowel length. Mm-hmm. But vowel length can change where the stress goes. And in particular, if the second to last syllable in a word is heavy, that is, it either ends in a consonant or has a long vowel, then it is stressed. A good example is Celebrimbor, where we stress the brim because of the M. It's a short vowel, but the consonant's there, so we say Celebrimbor. Now with Celebrian, it doesn't have that closing consonant. It's bri instead of brim. But because it's a long vowel, and that's what's indicated by the accent, then because it's the penultimate syllable, it takes the stress. So it is Celebrian with the emphasis on the bri. Not directly because of the accent, but because of the long vowel, which is what the accent is indicating.
That's fair. I would like to say I knew I was right after all, but the truth is I figured I must be wrong. I mean, let's be honest, 9 times out of 10, that's good advice. Still in the corrections vein, but more along the lines of a clarification. Sara, you want to talk a little bit about the name thing that we were talking about with the stranger from a couple of episodes back?
Yeah, that's right. We had a message sent to us by one of our listeners, and thank you very much to them, where they were listening to us talking about the stranger, and we'd said something along the lines of, my memory fails me a little bit, but something along the lines of how the stranger doesn't have a name, and that name is important, but you don't have a name until it is given to you. Now, we were talking very much in the context of the stranger. Right. But this person who wrote in, it's absolutely right that if we take that to a wider context, we're actually missing out the fact that people don't always keep or use the names that are given to them by others. There are, of course, many different ways in which people choose their own names. Quite simply, entertainers choose their name, they choose stage names, and those stage names are very important and a part of the way in which they identify as an entertainer. People change their name when they get married, they change their name when they get divorced. But one of the things that they wanted to stress, and we want to also stress that we completely agree with this, is, for example, transgender people who choose their own name, their true name, their real name, the one that identifies them as who they actually are. And this is an incredibly important moment for a lot of people because of this, because the three of us were talking about this before we started recording. Your name is so intrinsic to your identity. If we look at this in the context of what we were saying about the stranger, I think it kind of makes sense what we were saying there, but it does leave out all of these really important moments when people choose their own name. So we just wanted to clarify our thinking on that and to make sure that everybody understands, hopefully, that we are completely on board with all of these different ways in which people choose their own names and decide for themselves. But I think that's it for our corrections. So,
I think it is. Yeah.
Alan, do you want to get us started?
Yeah, well, we'll start where the episode started, which is, it's funny, I jotted it down as the Pelargir/Arondir line, but I'm not so sure he's actually in Pelargir anymore.
I'm so confused where some of that stuff is going on. This is something that I'm dealing with on the ROP data side as well, is if I'm identifying where is this scene taking place. There's a bunch of those in the forest where... Yeah. So I suspect Arondir is somewhere closer to Eregion than...
that's what I'm thinking as well, because these orcs certainly wouldn't all be all the way down in Pelargir. They're deserter orcs. They would not have made it all that way. And if they had, they would have been going to Mordor probably and not towards Pelargir.
Right, exactly.
But, in the meantime, Arondir is running through the woods, being the elfiest elf that ever elfed, just, sprinting through the woods, and he hears those deserter orcs. I don't care what they call us. It's better than 7 that Adar guy to die. That felt very orc-like, right? I mean, that to me, that's Gorbag and Shagrat all over the place.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Whinging in a Cockney accent. Yes. Nothing more orc-like.
Ouch.
I would like to see the orcs. Wouldn't it be funny to have them be a little bit more like, using a received accent? Sort of just,
yes.
Goodness.
Not quite sure about this Adar chap.
Oh, this Adar chap is really starting to grate my last lump of cheese.
I would really like to hear orcs like that. Now, in the meantime, if those guys are Gorbag and Shagrat, I don't know who the third orc is. I'm assuming he's a deserter as well, unless he's trying to follow the deserters and bring them back. But where's he coming from? Who knows? He just shows up and says, ta-da, I'm going to kill you, and Arondir has something better to say.
Yeah, I was sort of expecting Arondir maybe to try to find out what the orcs were doing there.
Yeah. Right. I wanted him to question them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
We needed one of them alive. Yeah.
Exactly. But you're right, he was the elfiest elf that ever elfed.
Wasn't he?
I love those little action things.
Those are fun. And I do like that they've, at least with him so far, avoided the sort of genuinely physics violating stuff, like climbing up a ladder of falling rocks, like in Legolas in the Hobbit film, or let alone skateboarding down on a shield.
Right. What I like about it is it's just an example of elves being human-like, but just turned to 11.
Yes.
And this is just that athleticism and physicality turned to 11. And
exactly.
I think it's exactly what we would see in a Sylvan elf. Yes.
And with centuries of practice. Imagine being, in martial arts and studying and fighting and practicing and training for hundreds of years.
You'd expect to be pretty good at it, wouldn't you?
Yeah. And boy, he was pretty spectacular, I got to admit. Cinematically ending all three before discovering that message on the map, clearly showing the attack on Eregion. And I guess I'm just going to have to settle for the fact that Eregion is a city now. Yes. Austin Ethel is apparently too much of a mouthful. I get it. Fine. Decision related to
all the things to quibble about.
I know. I'm not going to quibble about that.
Yeah. Only a little bit.
We've got to choose our battles.
I've got to make sure that I keep my pedant card qualified. So I have to mention it, but it's fine. It's fine.
I think you've got your lifetime membership already, Alan. I think you're good.
Wow, James!
That
as
was
a card
good.
carrying member. As a card carrying member myself, I that was completely a respectful statement.
You gave me that lifetime membership because you're the president of the Pedants Club.
Exactly. There you go.
Man, I was about to welcome you to the sorority of salty sisters. Nice.
Sign me up.
Well done. So from there, now I know that we kind of moved around a little differently, right? From there, the scene cut to Eregion, but Eregion's such a long thread. I want to actually move to Adar and the orcs first. And we open there at the table with some honestly not horrid orc food. I mean, clearly he's trying to enable Galadriel to sustain her physical body with something other than, maggoty bread for 3 stinking weeks.
I was worried for a moment we were going to get a bit of Peter Jackson tomato eating Denethor.
I did too. I think that was a visual callback.
There was a little bit of a visual callback with the stab into the whatever it was, chicken
in
or
profile
rabbit or
with
whatever.
The camera at the table level. That was very much a visual callback.
But fortunately, it didn't go that direction.
I was waiting for Adar to start eating cherry tomatoes.
No, I'm so glad he didn't.
I know.
But at least he also didn't light a candle between them and make it all kind of romantic. Right?
There are some people on social media shipping them.
People will ship her with anybody, it seems.
Yes.
I mean, yeah. She does seem to like the bad boys. She does seem to have a weakness for the bad boys.
Yeah, but can we at least acknowledge that the previous bad boy is a little prettier.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, he does have a better skincare regimen, that's for sure. So Adar is playing his own sort of manipulative games. I mean, no, he may not be quite as good at manipulating Galadriel as Halbrand / Sauron / Anatar, but he's not bad. He's not bad. And he's playing the game of the interrogator by sort of being open and honest and vulnerable and making it sound like, I've been taken by this guy too. It's a really good play.
It is.
I didn't pick up on it at first. It was only when he, basically did that. You've given away everything.
That's such a villain line.
That I realized, he was actually deliberately manipulating her. So maybe he's even better than Anatar in the sense that I didn't even notice he was doing it.
Whereas, James, I was watching it thinking, Galadriel, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're telling him everything.
Okay.
You've mentioned the ring. You've named the ring. Well, you've said who you gave it to. What are you doing?
I'm just naive. A poor innocent boy.
Nobody's ever tried to manipulate you, apparently.
Yeah, but he just doesn't know about it.
That's right, yeah. He's being manipulated now. Sorry, you and I, but don't tell him.
Lol.
The line, sooner or later he sees you, not just who you are, but who you wish to be.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely fits. I mean, he's not wrong. He's not lying about who Sauron is and what he does, how he works.
This is exactly what he's doing to Celebrimbor right now, right?
Exactly.
Who he wishes to be.
And his eye bores a hole, the rest of him slithers in. I think we heard that line over the sliding goo in the trailer.
Yes. Yes. The other thing is he talks about, and Galadriel acknowledges this, that they've both ended up getting what they wanted.
Yeah. The army and the children. Yeah.
And the children. And again, this comes back to that, Halbrand in the prison statement about giving people the means to master.
Exactly. To prevent what they're afraid of, give them what they want. Yeah. Oh, but of course, because of that, because he is able to do those things and still manipulate you, Adar comes to the correct conclusion, though he may not be the guy to do the job, that we have to destroy him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he makes the offer that I can help. And that's when my hackles were raised and I'm thinking, watch out, Galadriel. And she is skeptical at first. She's like, oh yeah, there's nothing you can do, orc. Right. And I liked that. She just didn't hold that long enough. Adar pulls out the crown of flippin' Morgoth.
Mm-hmm. As you do.
That was nice.
Did we know that was supposed to be Morgoth's crown before this?
I don't think we were supposed to.
I think this is the first time it's been actually definitively called the crown of Morgoth.
Do you think it is, or do you think Adar is just mistaken? Possibly.
Or lying.
Or lying.
Yeah, it's the crown that Sauron wanted to be crowned with, but if it was...
It's the crown that Sauron wanted to be crowned with, but I'm wondering if Sauron tricked Adar.
Well, I want to know what happened to the Silmarils that were in that crown.
Well,
it got turned into the collar.
Yeah.
But
and
it makes sense that perhaps Sauron, finding this crown, not the real crown,
would
have pretended it was the real crown.
Yeah,
for authorities.
Gain authority. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, can you imagine that diddy little crown fitting on the head of Morgoth? I mean, it'd be more like the fascinator of Morgoth, wouldn't it?
Well, he did say Sauron refitted it for himself after
refitted it. He'd have to make it a heck of a lot smaller.
It was a fillet of iron before, and so now he's got the spikes because he had to do something with all the extra iron.
Well, I was picturing the Peter Jackson ring shrinking.
Yeah.
So it shrinks from Sauron to Isildur.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering. I was sort of imagining that same sort of thing.
Yeah, but now I'm imagining Morgoth and his fascinator instead, and I think that's way more fun.
That is hilarious, actually. That's really that's really funny, actually. Or it's a pinky ring for Morgoth. Yeah.
It's what Morgoth wears on very special occasions.
When he wants to be fabulous. Yes.
Absolutely. Oh, now you've just kicked off a whole load of fan fiction. You know that,
I was going to say. Yeah.
And artwork.
Folks, be sure to tag us in anything that you produce, or at least tag Sara and James. I'm not so sure.
At least tag James. He started this.
So for those who don't know what James and I were referencing there very, very briefly is that in the actual story at the end of the First Age, when Morgoth was overthrown by the Valar and the rest of the Vanyar and everybody else came and kicked Morgoth's tail, they took the crown, they beat it into a collar so that they could drag his butt back to Valinor and kick him out past the doors at night. So the crown is actually gone. So this lore-wise should not actually be the crown. That's why the question is Adar lying, or was he mistaken because Sauron was lying? Because that isn't the crown of Morgoth.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't think the showrunners are thinking.
The other option is the showrunners don't really care, and they're just going to make this the crown of Morgoth because it's cool.
Given everything we know about, how much detail they're going into certain things, I don't think this was a concern of theirs. It's not relevant to the story.
Yeah. And speaking of not relevant to the story, how about not relevant to the plot? This is so weird, right? Maybe the crown of Morgoth, which has some inherent power, apparently, could combined with your ring be enough power. Like power is just some sort of cumulative effect. And
maybe Morgoth's crown is a battery.
Maybe, and maybe the ring is. It
is circular.
Oh no!
So it bends.
No, we're going back to that same thing.
Stop it.
This is not allowed.
Yeah, that was weird. Again, it's. They are imbuing the rings with properties that I don't think Tolkien intended for them to
But in
have.
this case, I think it's actually Adar just trying to use this as leverage or as some sort of a lure. Like, I don't think he believes this, and I'm pretty sure even Galadriel doesn't, but she's so
Whether he
tempted to.
believes it or not, he certainly wouldn't know.
No, he had
it's like
idea.
Adar's an expert in ring
sort of
lore.
supernatural powers of artifacts in Middle-earth. And certainly, here's the thing. What do we know, even from the show, what do we know about elven rings? They have the power to preserve. They have the power to extend life. They don't have a destructive power.
Right.
They heal, right? The ring enables Galadriel to heal the soldier in the Barrow Downs. Or I'm sorry, not in the Barrow Downs, but on the hilltop after the scouts discover them. Mm-hmm. And it gives her visions. It gives Gil-galad visions. It's healed the tree and enabled the elves to remain in Middle-earth. What's destructive about that? Right. How in the world will that enable Adar somehow to destroy Sauron? I don't know.
Well, we've got two choices here. We can either do, what we were just talking about and say, Adar is just manipulating Galadriel, or we can say the showrunners have thrown this in and we've got to just hand wave it away somehow.
Well, maybe. And I think there's going to be some hand waving later, so maybe that's just the route we'll go for now.
If we hand wave too much, we're going to be semaphoring.
I'm going to need to see my physical therapist about my wrists pretty soon.
I'm picturing the is it Wuthering Heights that Monty Python does the semaphore version of?
Oh yeah. When they're doing when the guy's coming in and they're trying to signal him.
Yes.
Oh,
Kathy
great.
and Heathcliff on hilltops with their flags. Yeah.
Oh, that is classic. So Adar, of course, suspects that Sauron is in Eregion, and he's correct. He believes, though, that Galadriel knows for sure. So he's trying to, again, get the information. Is he actually here? He mentions Halbrand. Of course, you and I are like, oh, Halbrand. Well, of course, nobody outside of Eregion knows he's Anatar.
Right.
So that's the name he's going to go by. That makes sense.
But I have a question here before we scoot on.
How would he know he's Halbrand?
Well, yeah. I mean, let's just pause a second, all right? Yeah. He has been in the presence of Halbrand twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, two totally separate occasions.
The King of the Southlands moment in Mordor.
So if he's now decided that Halbrand is Sauron, why did he let Halbrand ride off?
Well, he did say follow him. Like, he knows to follow him.
Oh, that'll work.
But maybe he didn't know that was Sauron yet. Maybe he's only come to that conclusion recently.
It must be.
But what has happened to make him come to that conclusion?
Well, he watched season 1. I think that's what happened. He watched season 1.
That would explain.
Like, aha,
yeah, that's
now
fair.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Or he listened to the Rings of Power wrap-up.
Maybe.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
I would like that, actually. That's a very good point. Like, if he knew that Halbrand was Sauron when he had him in front of him in Mordor, maybe he just knew he didn't have the power at that point to kill him. He didn't even have the crown necessarily, and that didn't do the job the last time.
I suspect he didn't know, but there were enough seeds planted that they bore fruit after Halbrand had left. Because remember, Halbrand basically says, I'll go off and find Sauron. You need me to find Sauron.
You need me to find that sorcerer who's going to,
I can imagine, and who knows, maybe this was a deleted scene or something, but I can imagine Adar at some point going, hang on a sec, and putting two and two together. Yeah. It's kind of,
That's possible.
And then doing a forehead slap.
Right. I'm thinking end of the Usual Suspects kind of thing, of all of a sudden putting the pieces together and realizing.
The Kaiser Soze moment.
The Kaiser Soze moment.
Okay. So he suggests that Galadriel has to set aside her pride. Boy, that is rich. to team up with Adar in order to kill Sauron. Again, at this point, my red alerts are going off. Like, this is not a good idea, Galadriel. Just say no and keep saying no. Don't cooperate in any way. Name, rank, serial number, nothing
Can
more.
I just put a pin in that use of the word pride? Because pride is going to come up again in the Númenor story.
Yes, it will.
And it was interesting when I started watching this for the second time this morning to do the subtitle work. I hit upon that second, we're going to get the word pride used in a conversation with Earian and Elendil.
Yeah.
And
Great
this use of
too.
pride here, my ears pricked up when I heard that because it's interesting, this theme of pride.
Absolutely.
So I also don't know if he really did know that Halbrand was Sauron. I think he may have just suspected that Halbrand is Sauron.
Right.
And is waiting for Galadriel to provide confirmation, which she then does. So that's who he is. Now he knows.
Well, when he says everything I hoped, you've revealed everything I hoped you would,
think one
and
of those
more.
things is the identity of the confirmation of that identity.
Yeah.
But obviously she said way too much. She's already said too much at that point, and now she's saying even more.
You've said everything.
Now you've said everything. You
Princess
just spilled it. Like, can you just shut up? Because Elrond's coming with an army of elves and my ring, Nenya. I mean, this is just one of those, really, Galadriel, why did you believe the bad guy? What is it about you and the bad guys?
Here are the secret plans to Region.
Right? I mean, for goodness sake, usually it's the bad guy that will monologue and tell you all about their evil plan. In this case, it's Galadriel who monologues and tells him all about her plan.
Exactly. Oh, my goodness. So Galadriel suggests a plan that is just nowhere near what Adar wants. Oh, Elrond will come and we'll get Celebrimbor, we'll get Anatar, Halbrand safely out of the city. I keep throwing different names out there, hoping one of them sticks. We'll get Halbrand out of the city, and when we drag him out, you and me will team up with the crown and the ring, and we'll just destroy him forever. First of all, how?
Yeah.
I still want to know how that works. But then second, that finally triggers what really is at stake for Adar. What about the Uruk? Do you think Gil-galad is going to let my people safely travel back to Mordor? Oh, no. You elves.
So much.
You elves are the problem. Yeah, okay, Halbrand may be a problem, but the real problem is that the shadows over all of you guys, your need to prove your virtue, to show me how great you are, that's going to work right into Sauron's plans. What? What do we think about that?
The problem is that this whole scene made me go, what?
Yeah, there was a lot
many
of
different
what.
occasions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even think I got to the consonant. It was just a lot of what?
Yeah. I mean, he's not wrong that Gil-galad is not going to allow them to peacefully return to Mordor.
Mostly because Gil-galad might be kind of a jerk, but he's not an idiot.
Right. Yes. No, he will do a full gold lame swish and say absolutely not. So he does have a point there.
Yeah.
The shadow is over. I mean, what is going on with this shadow? And I don't know.
Yeah. Adar.
A lot about this conversation left me just staring at the television thinking, do I need to listen to this again?
And wondering if they deleted scenes or lines. Again, this felt like one of those things where maybe there are some extra things that would have explained this.
Can we have those, please?
I
That
know.
would be so nice.
Yeah. So we do finally get the revelation that I've been playing you this whole time, right? You've given me everything I hoped you would and more.
Duh.
It's your value here is done. Now, at the very end of the show, when we come back, right, and we see this all coming along, she makes the point that this is Sauron's plan, this attack. This is at the very end when she said, when he said, we're going to attack Eregion. She said, no, don't attack Eregion. Please don't attack Eregion. She's got a point. Sauron wants this army. He doesn't have an army. He can't accomplish anything. How is he going to do this? How is he going to take Adar's army away from Adar? That got me curious. Like, I want to see that in action.
Absolutely. It's one of those things where I was initially worried at the change in the story because obviously in the books, it's Sauron attacking Eregion with the army to get the rings. And that got changed obviously here. But maybe not as much as we thought.
Yeah.
And in confirmation of Galadriel's suspicion, there is that scene where you see Anatar looking at the approaching, just to jump ahead to that, and he has a smirk. So clearly that's confirmation that he wants this to happen. This is exactly
It is
what
going
he
to
wants.
plan. I love it when a plan
Yeah.
comes together. It's exactly what I was thinking of when we saw that. Yeah. And we'll get to that under the Eregion line, but you're absolutely right. That is clearly Sauron's intent here. And yeah, before we wrap up this storyline, let's talk about the last little bit we see, which is Adar blowing the horn, which can we just acknowledge that this episode had some great horns?
So much horn.
So much horn.
Fantastic. Fantastic horns.
Just really, really cool. I love the sound design on that. And then we see the plan being executed, the catapults being lined up. In fact, I think that the actual shot we get from Eregion is the catapult things, whatever they are, the
flaming
fireballs.
flaming rocks being shot into Eregion and then cut to black.
Yep.
I thought that was a nice way to end the episode. But yeah, the attack is coming. I'll be curious, and I guess we'll find out maybe next episode. We see some things in the trailer that look like there's a ground assault. So they've got to have to dam up the river somehow, magically or some sort of weird trick. But I guess we'll see that next week probably.
Yep.
All right. Well, we will come back and talk more about that Eregion storyline because that really is sort of the heart of the whole series right after the break.
We're about to get back into our discussion of the 6th episode of Season 2. But we want to remind you that when you finish listening to us, the talk continues all night long at the Rings of Power wrap-up.
Yes, indeed. We have an amazing community of listeners, and they really do keep the conversation going. From the Rings of Power group on Facebook, our Twitter feed, our Reddit community, and more.
Now on Facebook, just look for Rings Wrap Up. You're going to want to follow the page to get our episode drops and posts, but you're really going to want to join the group to get in some great discussions on the television show itself, as well as on each of our episodes.
Now, if you're on Reddit, look us up at r/RingsWrapUp, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, where we're at Rings Wrap Up.
And if you enjoy the show, please help us by giving us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and recommend us to your friends.
Indeed. Thank you. So let's go ahead and get back into the show. We're going to go back to the Eregion storyline where we open on Celebrimbor and he's kind of given the what for to a lump of metal. It's really kind of like nice language. It's really very elfy, but then you realize he's talking to a piece of metal. He tosses the shard to the side and it joins a whole bunch of other piles of scrap. I want to know what that mouse lives on. Does that mouse eat metal? Is this like a new fad diet?
I'm worried that this is a new superhero that's going to emerge. It's like
he's going to consume metal. It's going to be the Mithril mouse.
Yes, it's the origin story for some superhero mouse. Yeah,
exactly.
I do want to come back to Celebrimbor's speech.
Yeah,
felt a little to me out of place in that it was extremely poetic. I felt like this was a Shakespearean soliloquy.
That's what I was thinking.
But we haven't had much of this, so it just seemed like uneven.
It seemed a little
compared
stilted
to
or a little forced. Yeah, I agree.
I enjoyed it. It was very poetic, but
Yeah.
it just he doesn't normally talk like that.
No,
So
it might have felt more real if he was just sort of ranting at the piece of metal.
Exactly. Speaking of ranting, he does a little bit of ranting at his smiths, right? They got to do it again. But they're out of Mithril, and that's because we have what I think is now the next name of a really good rock band, Tardy Dwarves.
It's got to be like Durin and the Tardy Dwarves.
Durin and the Tardy Dwarves. I love it.
Perfect.
Absolutely love it. So Miradania is standing up for her silent coworkers. I think they're silent because they don't have a SAG card, so they're just under.
Right, exactly. Yes.
Nobody wants to. Don't say a thing. And obviously, look, we have been working our tail off, and we're going to have to negotiate a new union contract or we're going on strike. I mean, no, that's not what she says. But
and you can tell something's been going wrong anyway because look how dirty they all are. They look unkempt. Celebrimbor looks a mess.
He looks a total mess. Yeah. And it only gets worse, too. It only gets worse. It gets progressively worse. And I can only imagine what next week's going to look like. But I do love she just sort of dances around this. By the way, you've been, some of us have noticed,
you've been a little ill-tempered.
Especially ill-tempered. Well done. Oh, man. That was funny. I didn't even think of that one at the time. I was thinking of the Snickers ads.
Oh,
You're not you when you're hungry. Like, give
Exactly.
poor Brimby a Snickers bar.
There's definitely some marketing opportunities there.
Know. You got the refined Celebrimbor who looks like he's actually showered in the last week. And then you get the crazy, what have you done to me moment that we see in the trailer. And you give him a Snickers and he goes back to that guy.
Exactly, yes.
But of course, that leads to, not only does he look unkempt, he's clearly losing it a little bit, right? We see that's shown to us in the fact that he's forgotten Midodania's name. And she's like the lead assistant, clearly. And then Anatar arrives, and just like we talked about last week, he's sort of playing good cop here. He gives everybody a break. Everybody take 10, go out and smoke in the patio.
Yep.
It's just.
And then I think this is followed by one perfect moment of manipulation.
Yes, I know where you're going. Tell us about it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So the creasing hammer.
Yep.
Now, in the first shot, the creasing hammer isn't there, right? And then he says, I could have sworn I put my creasing hammer just here. And Anatar says, that hammer? And you turn and there's the creasing hammer. This is perfection, because this is Anatar messing with Celebrimbor's mind.
Oh, this is a total...
It's all part of the manipulation, because this is what people do. They make you question yourself, right? They make you...
The original meaning of gaslighting.
Yeah,
right?
it
is. I was just going to say, this is
100%.
gaslighting at its absolute peak.
Yeah.
So the way in which he's messing with his head is so clever.
It is. It really is. And he's doing it in such a way as to completely discredit him in front of the people that all of his people, not just the Smiths, the Gwaithir Myrddin that they won't name, but the people of the city of Region. I'm sorry, my petting card came out twice there.
For those of you watching at home, Alan used air quotes.
Oh, yes. The city of Region, in case those weren't audible air quotes. And yeah, you're right. I mean, he's totally messing with him. It's just he's getting in there and he's pushing the right buttons at the right time and at the right pace. He's not pushing him too far. He could have done all of this up front and he didn't. He's just taking his time, just the right amount of time. And it follows when he uses that line about, oh, maybe you're just going so deep into your own mind.
Yes.
That coming out is really, really hard.
And maybe you could just stay there a while.
I bet you'd like to stay there a while, get some more focus. Yeah.
Ew.
You should do that. Oh, my God.
Ugh.
This is masterful. I mean, and I will say I have to absolutely give kudos to both Charlie Vickers and Charles Edwards here, who have acted the heck out of these scenes. And I mean, creepy as can be. I wouldn't trust Charlie Vickers with anything at this point because he's so good at lying and manipulating. And I'm thinking, wow, that's a skill set not everybody has. Yeah, really, really well done. But of course, Anatar's not there just to mess with Celebrimbor's mind. He has to also remind Celebrimbor, oh, your people demand an audience. You see, you're so tired. You have so much going on. And really, well, I'm here, aren't I? I can help.
Exactly.
Oh, man, giving himself the opportunity to take, to meet that need. Again, creating a need and then saying, oh, well, if you can't do it, I know how it can be handled. He's so good at this.
He really is. He really is. He's all along. It looks like he's giving Celebrimbor choices and options. Right?
It's the last
he really
thing he's
isn't.
given him. No, not at all. He is pulling all the strings, and Celebrimbor is dancing like a puppet. And however, every once in a while, you get a moment where Celebrimbor does act with some sort of agency. And here he's like, look, we can't keep doing this because we're out of mithril. The dwarves haven't sent us any mithril. And, can you see to this? Okay, good, fair. I'm also worried for the dwarves, as I should be. In the meantime, I just wanted to point out, listen to the music in that moment.
Oh, yes.
It's really well done. Bear's scores and the way he plays around with the different thematic material is just really, really nice. And we'll get even more of that later when we get to Casa Doom. That's when, he comes out and says, I'm in charge now. I sort of feel like, I know the three of us are old enough to remember when President Ronald Reagan was shot. and the vice president was, I believe, out of the country or traveling. I think he was in the air. And so Secretary of State Alexander Haig said, I'm in charge. But of course he actually wasn't, because the vice president was still around. Thank you very much. We have phones. We can reach him. Oh man, that was a moment. So now that we've just alienated 85% of our audience, who's like, who's Ronald Reagan and who's Alexander Haig? We're going to come back and to Anatar saying, I'm in charge now, right? I'm going to handle the administration of the city. We're all good with that. And, oh, by the way, since you're in charge of administration, Mr. Anatar, Medania says, we've received a
carving.
Yes, a carving. Hello, that's not a message. How about we have a dead body with a message on it? Yes. Let's talk about that real briefly, because I looked at that and I dug deep into the Angarthas in Appendix E. And
yeah, I'm a little confused.
I was very confused.
It makes sense to use runes because runes are for carving.
It'd be really hard to do the Tengwar in the flesh of the elf.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So I understand why they went with, but it's still, I was confused because what would Anatar understand that Mirdania wouldn't? That's
the thing. Mirdania looks at it just as Anatar does, but then later on says, what did it say? So clearly she doesn't understand what it says. But there are no Kirth, that is to say there are no runes for black speech. So maybe this is like the Angarthas Dairon. And if it is, then it looks like it would say something like Manas Inir. But what does that mean?
I don't know. I didn't have enough time to dig into that, but
we will expect you to do your homework, James.
I know. Come on, James. You're the language guy. I got to rely on you.
I only just watched it.
That's fair.
That's fair. I mean, it is, folks, the episode's only been out for 8 hours, most of which we've all been asleep. Adar, of course, is actually older than the Angarthas Dairon. So since it was Dairon who rearranged the runes, the Angarthas, to mimic the way Tengwar was structured, it is possible, in theory, that these runes predate that rearrangement, in which case we have no idea what it says. None at all. Some sort of pre-Dairon Angarthas. But I don't know. There's just no clue.
We'll work it out eventually. Maybe next episode we'll come back.
We will.
With more
I mean,
information.
Anatar says what it says. I just don't know that I believe him.
Right.
Except for the fact that the episode title is named that. So, and it does make sense. So it probably is that, but I just don't get linguistically how we get there.
Yeah, I don't know what language it is. I don't know exactly what writing system it is.
But clearly Anatar does know what language it is and says, bury him.
And that's what matters.
Yeah, bury him. I don't want Celebrimbor to know. I don't want anybody to know. And by the way, Smiths, y'all can take some vacation time. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
You've all been laid off.
So apparently now the Smiths are on a leave of absence, which is different than the Smiths being on tour. I wonder if anybody's told Morrissey. So anyway, maybe the Cure can fill in. All right. So finish this work before it finishes him.
Sorry, I just... Because of Johnny Marr, I'm thinking Adar unmarred.
That is good.
Perfect.
That's just spot on. I can't even. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for episode 31. It can't get any better, so we're leaving now.
And we're done. Yeah, because we're not worthy.
No, we're definitely not. That was great.
Wow.
And we have to finish this episode before it finishes at us.
Yeah, and heaven knows we're miserable now.
Wow. I'm not even going to try. That's just, my goodness, that's so good. So good, folks. Oh.
Well, sorry, there's the William, in the song William, he talks about the ring. There's ring talk in a lot of...
Wow, we are going deep dives here. That is impressive.
He says, if you like, you can buy the ring, is the line in.
Yeah, I think you're right. Oh, my goodness.
Stunned silence.
I'm
sorry. I'm a big Smiths fan, by the way.
Clearly. I mean, that's, I was more Cure and Depeche Mode, but certainly who could not like the Smiths? But apparently Anatar doesn't like the Smiths.
I'm sure he doesn't. Yes.
But he does manipulate the leader of them quite well. Oh, can I trust you? Oh my gosh, it just cringe. He's so good at this, and she's just so naive.
Maybe it's because I'm an older woman, but the way in which he was touching her and getting closer and speaking just made every hackle on the back of my neck stand up at 90 degrees.
Exactly. I'm getting the don't stand so close to me moment,
Oh, yes. Oh.
So, of course, she does ask the question we all want to know that I spent half an hour trying to decode. I think it actually says drink more Ovaltine. But the question is, where is he?
Have a better skincare regimen or something.
Wow, brutal. And that's when we get the moment, the smirking Adar, the one who's, I love it when a plan comes together. This is definitely working into his hands. And I think you're right. This is him bringing his army to him. And we're going to see that over the next couple of episodes. All right, so when we cut back to the Eregion storyline, right, the guards see they're under attack from Adar's forces. This is the very end of the episode, or near the very end. And they sound the alarm, and this is where, we've talked about the manipulation before. This is next level. You have to have some serious power to pull off this manipulation. But Celebrimbor hears it, and we get Anatar's ultimate deception, the vision, the false vision of a peaceful afternoon in Eregion. With a pet goat. The goat was on a leash. I loved it.
It must take a lot of power to do this.
Yeah. And I think we're meant to see that because he sort of really does some contortions and he's clearly making an effort. But yeah, I think you're right. I mean, we really are supposed to see that this takes him effort. This is hard. And of course it's hard because he's manipulating every one of his senses, what he sees, what he hears, what he feels, even probably what he smells, because the smell of war, the smell of those burning catapult thingies definitely would be there. So he's having
the smell of lizard to foreshadow future.
No,
I'm sorry.
No. Give that man a toothbrush. But I have to say, before we get to that deception, we have a moment that I really did like. We've talked about how Celebrimbor has so little agency. He's not really given choice. It's just the illusion of choice. He does confront Anatar one more time. And I'm sure we'll get more of this. He physically shoves him. I'm tired of you telling me what I can do. And he shoves him out of the way like he's going to go take care of this. And that's when Anatar lays on the guilt trip. But I want to pull up one line from that guilt trip and say, what do we think of his deal? Every soul in the seen and unseen world is going to know it was your fault. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd heard that line in the trailer, I think, or the previews for the season, and obviously without any context. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what
I wasn't comfortable with that line.
No.
Why is he bringing in the unseen world here?
It's not as though, your soul is in the unseen world, not in the seen world. It doesn't mean you're not in the seen world. It just means you're invisible, like a ring wraith in the seen world. I mean, it's the same world. It's like a UV filter. I mean, you can't. Anyway, I didn't really like the line. It kind of landed heavy-handed to me a little bit. Like, let's throw in something here about Wraith World, because we showed it last week with Merdanya and her whole thing, which was, I think, a little bit better done because she's clearly describing what she sees as Sauron, the skin of flame and all of this stuff. Clearly, she's seeing Sauron as he is, seeing through his disguise, which is why he had to really turn up the manipulation on her. But I didn't buy it this time, and I think it might just be sort of Anatar in a little bit of a panic as he's trying to really get Celebrimbor, stay inside. I don't want to have to exercise all my power, but he exercises his power, and it includes the pet goat. So I got to give him points for that. Is Anatar trying to be, you can trust me because I'm being vulnerable with you, when he says, I didn't come here because the Valar needed you. I came here because I needed you.
I think this is so many times what we get is him manipulating by using the truth, but using it in a very particular way.
Yeah.
This is the truth.
Yeah.
This is nothing to do with the Valar.
No, the Valar
everything
don't want
to
him
do
here.
with the fact that Sauron needed Celebrimbor.
Yeah.
So the truth is buried in this, but the way in which he's using the truth is part of his manipulation.
Yeah, to gain even more confidence in this sense, to gain more, you are important, right? We're going to get that bit about Feanor in a bit. And it's clearly, once again, just appealing to Celebrimbor's pride and sense of, I need to be able to make these powerful things. But I want to linger on one more moment here. He reminds Anatar, look, I can't make these rings anyway. We're out of mithril, but poof. Anatar, guess what?
As if by magic.
And I want to talk about that because he did leave Khazad-dûm empty-handed. As we'll get to the Khazad-dûm line later, we see that he leaves empty-handed. He doesn't have anything with him. He's told no, but he hands him allegedly mithril ore refined to a powder by Narvi himself. What do we think about that? And I've got a thought, but I don't want to say it until I've heard what you guys think.
So did he lift that? Like he accused
Like a
Narvi
shoplifting?
of. Well,
yeah. Narvi's a
When
thief.
he accused
possible.
Narvi of being a thief. Maybe he did. Maybe he was the thief in the end, unless it's
Maybe.
not what he claims it is. So I mean,
That's what I'm thinking. This whole thing is a vision, right? This whole thing is a fraud. The goat is a fraud.
are you saying the goat's not real?
The goat's not real, James. The goat's not real.
Oh,
I was waiting for there to be cake because we all know the cake's not real. There was a woman doing needlepoint. That's not real. None of this is real. I don't think
Yeah.
the mithril is real. I think there was a scene earlier where in this whole deal where Anatar is holding a knife in his hand and he cuts his hand. Do you remember
Yes.
that moment?
Yes,
I
that's not a knife. Sorry.
don't bring a knife to a ring fight.
I think we were referencing Crocodile Dundee at that
I
point.
think we were.
Yes, I was.
think
I
we
didn't
were.
even have to put on an accent.
No,
No, you didn't.
But could you put a shrimp on the Barbie? That would be. I know. Don't kill me. We all know that's not real. Coming back to Anatar, he cuts himself. Why? I remember asking myself, why are we seeing this? There's a reason why we're watching him cut himself.
Okay, I have a theory.
I'm going to have a theory here that this
Okay.
isn't mithril.
Well, I was going to. Can we first of all come back to the cutting?
Yeah. Go
So
ahead.
we've seen that before. Remember, it's done to the acolyte.
Yes. And the blood has the power
In order to bring back the dweller. It
Yes,
seems like that was
yes.
how they were able to bring back the dweller.
Yep.
Is it possible that Anatar had to do that to pay
have the
for the
power.
powers that he, like it was the cost?
That could be. I'm thinking because the difference between the rings of men and the rings of elves and dwarves is going to be that they make the ring wraiths. In the story, because they're not really, I mean, you and I
Sure.
all know, and most of the people listening
right.
know that the 16 are just the 16.
Right.
But in the story, they're clearly making very different rings for men than they did for dwarves.
Yep.
If they're going to make rings that make them into Nazgul, I think this is Sauron's blood. I don't think it's mithril.
Yes.
I think he's tricking Celebrimbor into.
They don't need mithril
No,
anyway.
they
And I was
don't.
going to bring up this point, right? That's a show invented.
That is
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean in the context of the show.
But
Right.
it may be one of those things where they didn't even need it within the context of the show, and
No.
it was a lie.
Right. I think, okay.
Maybe he was palming the mithril when we thought he was.
Maybe,
Remember,
maybe he was just stealing the mithril and held on to it, and that's mithril.
so there's no mithril in the dwarven rings either. I don't know. That's
That's true, because we do know that Sauron in the text craves mithril. Like
Craves
he wants
mithril,
all the
yes.
mithril. He is greedy for the mithril. I feel like this is one of those moments where we're going to see literally, Sauron pouring himself into the rings.
Uh-huh.
Like a prototype for what will become the One
Ding,
Ring.
ding, ding. That's exactly
Right.
what I'm thinking.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
He pours so much of himself into the one that it becomes, in a way, a trap, that if it is destroyed, he's destroyed. This is a
Foreshadowing
presaging
of
that,
that. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
He's
yeah,
sort
yeah.
of putting his blood into these rings. I have a feeling that's where we're going with it. I don't know for sure, but I'm not going to be shocked, because otherwise that moment where he cuts himself makes no sense.
Yep.
And this moment with the mithril makes no sense.
I like that theory better than it was some cost for the illusion.
I do too, because
Yeah.
I don't see Sauron as having to pay such a cost.
No,
Yeah.
he hasn't had to pay a cost yet.
Yeah.
No.
So-
I mean, he's a Maiar. He's not,
Yeah.
Right.
some wizard
He's
somewhere.
not a sorcerer. He's not a wizard.
He's
not
powerful.
Exactly.
Like hugely powerful. He doesn't
Yeah.
have to pay a blood
godlike
cost.
powerful. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. So we'll see, and I guess we'll see either next week or the week after, presumably.
Maybe.
And I mean, I think the 9 are going to be done. I'm hoping, but
Oh, the 9 have to be made, otherwise Region's about to go bye-byes. Yeah.
right, we got to get them handed out next season. We are close. We're so close, he says. Right, we've got these rings. They're almost ready. We just need this mithril, and you can do this. But then we get the over the top stuff. Oh, I heard that groan, Sara. The
This
Silmarils will
line.
merit
That
little more
precious
than
groan.
a whisper.
This
No, did you
line.
just say it was a precious groan, James?
Yes, that precious
terrible.
groan from
Terrible. The most
Oh, now you're causing me actual pain.
beat precious creations in all middle.
the pause before precious.
Oh, Charlie, what were you doing?
the most precious creations. I don't know about you all, but I cringed audibly.
Oh, same.
That was just Oh no, you did not just go there, but you went there.
I cringed so audibly, I think my neighbors heard it.
Yeah, that was a moment for sure. I mean,
no.
I think we've said it before. The Anatar Celebrimbor stuff is great, but this particular moment was cringy. Like, come on. We'll get to this later. I think the whole idea of whenever they do these callbacks, it's bad. It never works for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wish they would stop because they should just be telling their own story.
Thank you. That's exactly
rather than doing
right.
This. Yes.
I feel like they're making an homage to an adaptation instead of an adaptation of the original. And every single time they do these callbacks to the Jackson films, you're taken out of this pretty good, maybe not great, but pretty good show and put back into that excellent movie, which makes this show not look good in comparison. That's a problem. Like, stop calling back to the better thing.
Just stop and tell your own story. Yeah.
Tell your own story. Anyway, that was cringy. Then he hands Celebrimbor the Hammer of Feanor. Best Feanor, which, as we all know, anybody who's read the text, that's not possible. Feanor may have been a total jerk, but he was the best craftsman ever. Might have been even better than Aule himself, let's be honest. He was pretty amazing. But sure, here, Silmarils are going to be nothing compared to the Nine Rings. James, what do you think? It looks like he's literally under like the spell of Glaurung is what I was thinking of.
Yeah, I was going to say, I actually liked the way that Anatar suggested that the rings will be greater than the Silmarils. Even though we know that's not true in terms of their inherent power, say, it's certainly true in terms of their knowledge in the popular imagination of people in the primary world, right? And I think that's sort of the point. It's absolutely true that far more people in the world know about the Rings of Power than know about the Silmarils.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely.
And so I actually loved that. It was sort of, it reminded me a bit of Achilles and the whole thing about, Achilles is going to be, people are going to be talking about Achilles in thousands of years' time. And it's true, right?
Yeah.
We read the scene where they talk about Achilles is going to be known for thousands of years and 1,000 years later it's true. It's that sort of thing, right? It's confirmation that, yes, in fact, far more people are going to know about the rings than the Silmarils.
That's fair.
So I thought that was sort of interesting, that almost breaking the fourth wall sort of thing. It was a reference to the situation in the primary world, that the rings are far better known.
And of course, alongside that, you've got this continuation of plumping up the ego of Celebrimbor, right? That you can be better than Feanor. Yes, we agree that's just not possible, but he's telling Celebrimbor, you could be better than Feanor, that your works will be better known and greater. Yeah, it's all part of the manipulation.
It really is. And that's the thing. We know from a lore perspective, the rings will never outshine the Silmarils.
Right.
But Celebrimbor wants to believe that they can. He wants to believe that he can create something better than what Feanor created. And so it's a perfectly valid manipulation attempt, and it works. It works. And I think that's why this spell does work on Celebrimbor, because he wants it to work.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever asked you if you're in agreement with this, but right at the very beginning when we first saw the Hammer of Feanor, I suggested that is what is going to be used to kill Celebrimbor.
Oh, yeah.
Do people... We all still agree that's a possibility?
I think that certainly will be involved. Maybe in knocking him out and then mounting him to the banner where they can shoot him full of arrows. I don't know.
I don't know if we're going to see that.
I really hope what we don't see him is crucified. With the Hammer of Feanor used to knock nails through his hands. That would be a little bit too on the nose for me.
Yep.
But I mean, the Hammer of Feanor, almost certainly, surely. I mean, it's Chekhov's gun. You've got to use it, right?
You got to use it. Yeah. So the vision fades as reality returns, and I have to say that was a really cool scene. I thought they did that transition back to reality very well. I was carried into it. It was a great shot, and he walks to the watchtower to observe those festivities, and that's when the catapults fire and we see the end of the episode. But wow. Celebrimbor is messed up.
Yep. And Anatar is having a good day.
Yeah. Everything is going his way. You know who's not having everything go his way? Elendil. We pop over to the Númenor storyline where we open with Judge Ar-Pharazôn. I don't get the judgment of this court. It's like, really? Does the king automatically get to also be the court? I didn't know that. I figured the court would be like, subject to the king, but I didn't think the king would be the judge, jury, and executioner, but he is. Listing the charges against Elendil, sentencing him to death. But then, it is the judgment of this court that he be set free if he renounces his crimes and pledges loyalty. You just got to know that's not going to happen. So Belzegar comes up, right? He's like, do you renounce your crimes? Yes. Will you accept our Farazan's honesty? Oh, heck no. None of us do.
It's interesting that he was willing to renounce the crimes. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was playing into Muriel's request that he be the calm in the storm. He's like, I'm quite happy to admit I shouldn't have done what I did.
Yeah. I thought that was good too.
Yeah, but I'm going to stop short of actually bowing down before.
Yeah, I can't go that far. I can't accept something that I know is false, right? I can acknowledge that what I did may have been wrong. The acts that I did broke the law and I regret them, but I can't accept that. So he gets carried off, and I have to say kudos to the show for putting Kemen in a sling. Did anybody notice his right arm?
I did not notice that.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Having had a relatively recent broken arm or, broken collarbone and wearing a sling, the first thing I saw was the strap on the opposite shoulder. I'm like, hey, they got him wearing a sling. What are we going to do with this guy? Dude, don't even ask your dad questions. Don't talk unless he talks to you, because the answers aren't going to be what you want.
Done quite enough, boy. Just the condescending way he says boy.
Dismissive. Boy.
Yeah, but I'm going to hold fire on the poor Kemen response.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
I have no pity for him, don't get me wrong. But dude, don't ask questions you don't want to know the answer to. Belzegar, which he is he a ring wraith or what, right? Are we all in agreement?
Yes.
He's one of the 9.
There's the 3 of them behind our Farazan, the very 3 that we said are the most likely candidates for the Nazgul.
The 3 lords of high Númenorian rank.
Yeah, Belzegar, Kemen, and Aarion. I certainly think Belzegar is the top of my list for Nazgul.
I think that's why we've actually got this named Númenorian lord, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we need these Númenorian lords now.
We do. And I think, I hope Kemen is one, because, we talked about this last week. No death is sufficient for Kemen, and that's just literally the perfect
he
perfect
deserves
solution.
it.
Yeah. Aarion would be an interesting choice. I have no problem with a female Nazgul. I think that's actually great. I think she's a little short for a Nazgul. Aren't you a little short for a ring wraith? The Star Wars crossover you didn't know you needed. But and she gets one of the little Nazgul ponies rather than the full blown, black horse. Just kidding. We like you. Yeah, Arian. Maybe not your character, but anyway, we're done giving you a hard time. But those 3 very much are candidates, aren't they?
Yes, and I'm not sure we're done giving her a hard time, actually.
No.
I think there's more we can do here.
I feel badly because, it's once again, these actors and actresses who play the villains are just as cool as the people who are playing, and we've met many of them. And like one of my favorite guys really is Tristan. I mean, he and I could just sit there and chat rugby for a long time and beard growing techniques. But, he's a bad guy.
A certain person who I can't mention said to me just a couple of days ago, who worked with the cast, said how wonderful Sam is.
I bet.
Sam Hazeltine is the loveliest guy ever.
I bet.
So,
and he's also doing this role really, really well.
Yeah, incredible. I really stepped into Joseph Maule's
Exactly. I would have liked to have seen Joseph Maule continue, but those are
big shoes to fill, because I thought Joseph Maule did an outstanding job as Adar.
Really, one of the highlights of season 1 was that dialogue he had with Galadriel about the origin of the orcs. It was like, how are you going to come in and fill those shoes? But But yeah, coming back to this, villains aside, another villain, Belzegar, pulls up the old traditions, right? If they want to live by these old traditions, they can die by them too. Judgment by sea monster. Yeah. Yes. I don't know. Did the faithful Númenorians strike you as being that sort of almost primitive a culture?
No.
I know,
no, it doesn't sound very like the Valar either to have a judgment by sea monster.
Unless that's literally Ulmo.
Or Ose.
Or Ose or Uinen, I don't think so. But yeah, I guess Ose. Certainly it would fit with Ose.
Well, I'm thinking the fact that the sea monster seemed to have a role in the first season in preventing the raft from getting near Valinor. That's the only thing that it sort of...
And the fact that it stopped and didn't eat Halbrand.
Right.
Like, I better leave you alone. Right. You're a Maya. I'm not going to mess with you.
Yeah.
Because I'm a
too
Maya.
much of a mouthful.
Yeah. If that is in fact,
you can never eat a whole one.
can never eat a whole one. I've already had one today. If I have another one, I'm going to have bad heartburn. You get to live.
Maybe they come in fun packs. I don't know.
Fun size Maya?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. So,
but it did seem odd.
It did. It feels like an excuse to do a really cool scene. And I will admit, it's a pretty cool scene, right?
Right.
Because when we come back to the storyline, they're preparing for this trial by Abyss. They're summoning the sea worm, more killer horns. I have to say, those were great
phenomenal horns. The collection of the horns with that sort of chord cluster that it produced. It was it was wonderful.
So much
This gave me chills.
Fantastic sound design there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Really, really good sound design. No doubt about that.
But I do think that if they had just said judgment by the sea.
Yes. Maybe.
Yeah, I might have been a little bit more on board with it because they've had this thing about the sea is always right.
Yeah.
And there's a sea monster. And if we throw you in and the sea monster snacks on you, then you're clearly guilty. Yeah. And if the sea monster spits you out and says no thanks, then you're clearly innocent. And I could see this being judgment by the sea. Judgment by the Valar makes me a little itchy.
Yeah, the judgment of the Valar is that's the problem. They know about the Valar. You know, the faithful in Númenor will have been not necessarily this generation of them because the elves will have stopped coming at this point in the story, but for generations, for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, the elves were coming from Tol Eressëa and dealing with the people of Númenor. And even after the split with the King's Men, they were still coming and dealing with the faithful. There's no way that they would have carried traditions forward believing that the Valar would do something like this.
The only thing I'll say there, I don't disagree, but I think there is a sense in which we're led to believe there is a distance now, particularly because of the passage of generations, presumably, that the religion, for want of a better word, of the faithful is perhaps a little distorted, maybe, or weakened from what it was, because they no longer have that contact. And so there would have been a lot of handing down of traditions, maybe misunderstood traditions in some case. I was thinking that in the context of the Nienna ceremony that we saw.
Yeah.
If it seemed a little off, I don't think that was a problem because
you're right.
They're not in contact with Valinor the way they used to be. So I understand a little bit more sort of suspicion and superstition and that kind of stuff. That said, the sea monster's real, so it's not the superstition.
Real. That is true.
So, it's the real I don't know.
Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, somehow that there's a sea monster that they can summon as well. I mean, it's sort of like
comes when you whistle.
Shai Hulud. They're summoning the giant worm. It's a little odd, but okay, fine, very well. It gives us a chance to have a really interesting scene. But before we get to the judgment by or the trial by Abyss, we get the little prison sequence. This is the one where you were talking about Eärion's not done being bad, right? She reminds Elendil of Ar-Pharazôn's mercy. In his mercy, he will allow you to live should you swear fealty to him. I mean, my goodness. I will say this. Lloyd Owen kicked butt in this scene.
Yes.
I thought he did such a great job as Elendil. Oh, the lines he got to deliver, too, actually helped. I thought that the dialogue here was really good. It is hardly mercy to ask a man to set his integrity aflame. That felt good. That felt Tolkienian. That felt right for Elendil.
Yep.
Good stuff.
And later, what he says about in a few minutes later about faith,
Oh my goodness, that is so good.
But we'll come to that.
Yes, we definitely will. First, of course, we get this moment of I don't want to lose you too, and you do have a moment where you recognize, oh yeah, and Eärien has been through a lot, right? I mean, she's lost her mother, she's lost her brother, and
to both brothers, possibly.
She's lost both brothers. You're right.
Where's Anarion?
I know he's somewhere. He's going to be king.
One thing I thought was going to happen when Pharazôn did his big, we're not actually going to kill him because of his faithful service. My first thought was he's going to be exiled to the west.
Yes.
I thought that too.
And that's how they were going to introduce Anarion.
And I thought maybe that's what we saw with Elendil on a horse with the city in the background in the vision that he saw that we saw last episode. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
That still may happen, yeah.
That still very well may happen.
Well, we don't know how they're going to... Well, I mean, spoiler alert, when Muriel survives, we still don't know how they're going to deal with the fact that all of a sudden now she's back in the running as monarch.
Because, boy, the people of Numenor are fickle, aren't they? I mean, we'll get to that.
I was going to say those fickle Numenor.
King Pharazôn. Oh, no. Oh, you spin her back. Queen Muriel. Like, wow. You guys talk about... Yeah.
We'll come to that.
We will get to that. But yeah, for a brief moment, you feel badly for Eärien because she has lost so much. She certainly doesn't want to lose her father, but she's under the manipulation of Pharazôn. Oh, he said you'd say that, I mean, of course Pharazôn's going to be able to sort of predict the direction that a good, faithful guy like Elendil is going to take. Like, of course he's going to do this, And
this is also where I said put a pin in the word pride. This is where there's that conversation, which I thought was really brilliant. She's talking about his pride.
Yeah.
Swallow your pride, she says. And he Elendil says this brilliant line, if after all this, all you see is pride, then there's no words left for us to speak. And I thought that was brilliant that he's saying, you think this is about pride?
Yeah.
Then you misunderstand what I'm doing here. Yeah. This isn't my pride at all.
No, not at all.
No, it's much bigger, much deeper than that.
Yeah, it really does. He delivered it with such, you could just see even though he was sort of smiling as he said it, you're seeing this broken heart, like, I've lost you. I've lost you. And you're gone. I can't, I've not taught you well, and I've failed as a father. I mean, that's not what he's saying, but I sure hear that in in the way he delivers those lines. I have to admit, I wasn't prepared for what came next.
No.
With Eärien bringing the queen in. That was a bit of a shock.
And again, that was a nice bit of adding complexity to Eärien.
It did. Yeah.
That it's not a black and white thing for her. She's honestly looking for ways to convince her father.
Yeah. Because she believes she's on the right side. She believes this is the way to go. Like, this elfstone thing is a problem. Little does she know Pharazôn's using said elfstone. But yeah, so the queen shows up, and here she is. The very first thing she does is bow to Pharazôn. I give you this command. You've got to do this. Yep. And that's when we get that moment you were talking about, James.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's talking about being a man of faith, a person of faith.
And he says, faith is not faith if it is not lived.
Lived. That is so, so good.
Yeah.
And it is so perfect coming from Elendil. We know the story.
This is what it means to be one of the faithful.
Yes.
It's not just words. It's the way that you live.
And boy, would he know that. In the books, his father goes and tries to duplicate Eärendil's sailing to the west to try to give one more plea. He's never heard from again. In the story, his son, Isildur, goes and saves the White Tree from being destroyed by Sauron. He has watched his father and his son, and then he himself has also committed tremendous deeds in accordance with being a part of the faithful. It is deeds. It is not just words. And it's what he's trying to say. Look, if I did this thing you're telling me to do, I would no longer be the man that you want me to be.
Right.
And he's dead right. But we also get a moment that I don't know we were expecting. I have to say I never shipped them. But we do get a moment that's very clearly revealing that she has feelings for him. What about my heart? Wow. Well, that was vulnerable. That was powerful. And I think that then gives us more motivation for what we see her do later in terms of her decision. But
yes.
Yeah. So it's time. It's time to throw them in, or throw him in. And we get the horns again, which is cool. Hey, if you're going to do those, you got to use them more than once, because those are flipping awesome horns, I got to say. And this is where, Sara, we come back to what you talked about, the judgment of the sea, sure. But accepting the judgment of the Valar, that did make me a little like, what now? But he's asked if he accepts the judgment of the Valar. Of course he does. But that's when we get the unexpected. I'd say it was totally unexpected for me. What about you guys? Were you taken back by that, by Muriel coming and taking his place? I thought she'd be next because we saw it in the trailers.
Right.
I sure didn't think she'd be coming and saying, no, take me instead.
No, I wasn't expecting that. And the interesting thing next is that Eärien seems to have transformed not only into an architect, but also a keeper of Númenorian lore.
Scholar of the ancient lore.
Yes.
No, it's right there in the law. You have to. What?
Yes, let me just consult this book I was carrying with me, because as you do.
Yeah.
So
Page 137, paragraph B, subsection 3. Yeah. Yeah. No, they now have to, apparently, because she's the one who issued the orders, she is allowed to stand in his place. And that sticks Ar-Pharazôn in a very difficult spot.
Right, what can he do now? Because if she's found guilty by the Valar, then, okay, he's kind of got rid of a rival.
Oh, yeah, win-win, but...
Win-win, or that, he's still stuck with something to do with Elendil. But if she's found innocent, he's got a huge problem on his hands.
And he knows it, right? I mean, you kind of wonder why he went along with this anyway when his, when Belzegar pulled out the thing. Well, maybe we should try this judgment thing. Just decide, make a decision, and execute the decision.
Is it because, and I was trying to think through, why did Pharazôn agree to this? Because he's a clever man.
He is a clever man, right?
Well,
everything has a reason.
I wonder if it is, and this is just me throwing this out here, when Belzegar first moots this idea, if they're going to be faithful and they want to, keep with this faith, then they should be willing to die by the tenets of this faith. These are not faithful.
Right.
So they don't really believe in this whole nonsense.
Right. They think the sea monster's going to eat her.
It's a sea monster, and the sea monster's just going to eat them.
Yeah, that's what sea monsters do. Yeah.
Yes, and that's what I'm wondering.
It's like the appearance of the eagle. Lord Belzegar just sort of took it opportunistically.
Yeah.
It wasn't. There's no suggestion that Lord Belzegar actually thought it was a sign from the Valar. He's just, no, I'm going to take this opportunity. Yeah,
it's very opportunist. That's true. And I guess, along those same lines, Sara, this could be an opportunity for Pharazôn to win over a number of the faithful should Elendil be eaten. Because at that point, he's still thinking Elendil. So if Elendil is eaten by the sea monster, which of course he will because it's a sea monster, I have converted some of the faithful to my side because they will no longer, not only will they not have Elendil to follow, but they will now believe that the Valar see them as no longer being supported.
Yeah.
Sort of like the way he's convinced, I'm sure, some people who did see the eagle as a sign of Pharazôn's, the approval of Pharazôn's kingship. Certainly those who weren't necessarily in the room at the time, right? I mean, I think as word spread, people around town, an eagle showed up when Pharazôn was
made king, yeah.
So it's an opportunity for him to win over people who he might not ordinarily be able to win over. That makes sense. He is stuck, though, because that risk, he might think the risk itself is, the odds are slim, but if it happens, the risk is ultimate. And we're going to see what happens, I suppose, next week. Because in fact, she does get thrown in the ocean. The sea worm, drags her down under that thing and then takes a look at her and says, nah, ain't nothing but some skin and bones. Can't even make a pie out of her. And so he spits her back up, and Elendil, being as opportunistic as Belzegar was when the eagle arrived.
Yes, I hadn't noticed that parallel. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Hail Miriel, Queen of the Sea.
Tar Miriel, Queen of the Sea. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, we've got a queen. The fickleness of these people, and by people, I mean all 30 or 40 of them, apparently, even though this is a public ceremony, like only a handful of people are there. Really? I would have expected hundreds and hundreds of people to be there to watch this guy get thrown into the sea. If nothing else, it's great entertainment.
Yeah, like a public execution.
Yeah,
indeed.
I mean, at least do the people digitally. If you can't, if you can't hire the extras, then just digitally show another few hundred people. But that was a little bit odd.
I'll tell you what I was expecting, or wondering if it might happen rather, was Miriel not only to survive the judgment of the Valar and be found innocent, but have her sight restored.
I was thinking the same thing.
I was thinking that was going to happen.
Especially with the close-up of the eye.
Yeah, I was waiting for it.
Well, maybe she does.
And she's just not letting on yet.
She hasn't said anything yet.
Know.
That's true. Maybe.
Guess what? I can see now, but I'm not telling Pharazôn. Maybe. That would be interesting.
I've got to be honest, the whole blindness of Miriel seems to have just run its course. I'm not sure that's really doing very much for the narrative anymore.
Yeah.
But I do think the idea of people accepting her as queen is going to lead up to what we know happened in the books, which is Ar-Pharazôn forcing her to marry him.
Oh, you still think they may go with that version?
I think they now might. I think they'll have to. The people now see her as queen, but some people still see her as king. We must unify. Therefore, I'm going to make you marry me. And then at least we stick with the story of
one version.
Marriage.
There are versions where that doesn't happen, but
that's true.
Yeah, gosh, I didn't even think about that. I mean, there is still, regardless, there is the question of how's Pharazôn going to get the scepter back?
Yeah. Where is the scepter right now, by the way? Does anybody know who's holding on to the scepter?
Pharazôn's hidden it in his robes.
Seriously. And then, of course, in that line, we get one last shot, and it's Pharazôn using the Palantir, and just a quick montage of flashing images. We do see Halbrand looking over his shoulder, almost looking to the camera, as it were. And, this is, I don't, again, these scenes, I don't even know what to make of these sort of scenes, because they're trying to tell us so much and tell us nothing at all.
Is that what Pharazôn always sees when you're looking at, we know Miriel always sees the same thing.
Yeah, the waves, right.
Does that mean that Pharazôn?
Don't know.
And if Elendil picked it up a second time, would he still see the same thing he sees?
Yeah, I don't know. I was hoping that, because we didn't know what Pharazôn's seen in the past, I don't think.
No, we didn't see.
And I was hoping it was the cave.
Oh, the Cave of the Forgotten.
I thought that would have been fantastic.
That would have been awesome.
Finds himself in a cave. But spoiler alert.
Of his army. Yeah.
Part of the problem with the scene with him looking into the Palantir is a problem that's actually reoccurring throughout this episode and has occurred elsewhere. When they have darkness, it's too dark.
It is. The dark's too dark.
And I can't see the details of what they're trying to show us. Yeah. I honestly think they're making some things just too dark.
Yeah.
It makes it hard to pick out details.
Yeah. When I'm watching it on my OLED, and I am a guy who likes my visuals in a movie. So I've got everything calibrated. I mean, a pro come out and calibrate my screen. It is accurate. And it is too dark. It is too dark for me to see things. So when I watch it on my computer, I actually have to crank the brightness up on my monitor in order to get the detail. And it's still just, then of course you just get black, artifacting and stuff.
Yeah.
It just looks terrible.
Yeah, because after the moment where you see Halbrand looking over his shoulder doing the coquettish ingenue pose.
Coquettish ingenue!
I can't make out a heck of a lot other than that.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. I know that we've got a title for this episode. Coquettish ingenue does actually have a certain ring to it. I love it.
Ring. Man. I see what you did there.
Lovely. Even the accidental references are perfect. In the meantime, folks, we will come back to some more storylines, including the one that irritated us the most, right after the break. All right, so we did promise that we were going to talk about the bit that irritated us the most. I'm sure it won't surprise any of you that it involves Tom Bombadil and the Stranger. So that's the storyline we're going to talk about next. And we open there with a vision that the Stranger is having of Nori's death. I do have to touch on something I kind of liked. I don't know if I want to give this much credit to the writers, but we'll see. He mentions Nori's name, and Tom says, Snorri? Who's Snorri?
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
He says snoring.
He says who's snoring. He says
who's snoring.
I meant to tell you. I didn't know we were going to go straight into this.
Okay.
I was going to tell you beforehand. Don't go there because the subtitles clearly say snoring.
I thought he said who's Snorri, and I'm thinking, well, since you asked, Snorri Sturluson was an Icelandic historian and poet of most of the Prose Edda, which is actually Tolkien's inspiration.
That would have been a fun.
Which would have been a great little Easter egg, but he said who's snoring. Okay.
Yes. He drops the G. It's snoring.
He clearly does.
Yeah, he drops the G. And the subtitles do too. They just say snoring.
I should have that. That's what I get for not having the subtitles on. Well, shoot. That's too bad. I would have liked the whole Snorri Sturluson bit. I had a whole thing prepared about how he was assassinated by the messengers from Norway.
It would have been epic.
Epic. I see what you did there.
Thank you.
So when the Stranger explains that he saw something, right? I saw something. I had this vision. Tom says something, and I want us to parse this a little bit. What the secret fire whispers to us if we have ears to hear. It tells us things, even shows us things. I am not particularly a fan of this interpretation of the secret fire, but I want you both to try to convince me that I'm wrong.
No,
No,
I
I've got no
agree.
intention of trying.
I agree with you completely.
Okay, good.
Yes.
I'm glad I'm not completely wrong. That's not how this works.
No,
The
no, it
secret
isn't.
fire is not the force,
No, it isn't.
which certainly does feel like that's where they're headed with it, because the stranger says, how do I master it, right? To defeat the darkness. Well, what does the secret fire need with you as a master? I've got to learn how to master it, to use it.
No,
Well, I
my
don't
young
know.
Padawan.
We got to find out if your midichlorian count is high enough. First of all, I mean, come on. This is not the secret fire, people. The secret fire is the thing that is in Eru Iluvatar himself that enables him to create
Life.
sentient, actual life beings. It's what he used to create the dwarves, or to give them sentience after Ali created them as essentially automatons. It's the thing that only is with Iluvatar. Melkor sought it out but could not find it because it is only with Eru Iluvatar. So
Yeah, they kept mentioning secret fire in that kind of sense, and I just kept thinking, you keep using those words. I do not think they mean what you think they mean.
I mean, they're clearly
it's
trying.
inconceivable, though, that they didn't know that.
Oh, very good.
That's the third Princess Bride reference we've had today.
We can continue as
We
you
can,
wish.
of course. But do we have a wheelbarrow? Sorry, okay, enough of
And
that.
now I'm picturing Tom and the stranger going down with the stranger in the wheelbarrow,
Tom Bombadil
wearing a
pushing
Holocaust
it.
cloak.
Yeah. Oh, dear me.
The stranger is here for your soul.
Moving on.
They're clearly drawing from Gandalf's speech on
Yes.
the bridge.
Yes, they are.
Of Khazad-dûm.
I am a servant of the secret fire, wielder of the flame of Arnor, yada yada.
Yeah. But I think not quite getting it right.
Now, the only possibility I can see here is it is mostly, actually, it is exclusively the stranger who refers to the secret fire as it. I need to master it. I need to use it. Tom always refers to it just as the secret fire. He never says it. And maybe we'll get some sort of backpedaling on this, and Tom trying to explain, well, the secret fire isn't like some mystical force for you to master. It's, this entity. It's this part of who Eru Iluvatar is, or who the maker is, or whatever they want to call him, But yeah, it's going to take some work if they're going to fix that. I just don't see it coming either.
No.
No. And that, of course, is when Tom points out, you've failed every trial so far, and here's the last one. Okay, when he puts on the hat and says, follow me, is that hat supposed to look familiar to us in any way?
Yeah, it looked exactly like Gandalf's hat.
It did, didn't it? Mm-hmm. James, I can see you're about to say something.
No, I'm just,
Just tired of all the movie references?
No, it's not that. It's more what's coming. That's
Yeah. No, I
me
know.
disturbed, but-
That's the thing. It's so hard to talk about this line, this whole storyline, that is, without thinking about the one line. And
yeah.
we will get to that. So,
Well, I mean, the other thing is, if I didn't think so before, it's clearly Gandalf. There's no.
can we please let the dream die that these are
Yeah,
blue
I think we're going to
wizards?
have to.
I mean,
I think we're
this
going to have
is
to.
Clearly.
Bye bye,
Gandalf
blue
and
wizards.
clearly
We hardly
Sara.
knew you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Palatar, Alando, thanks for coming.
Anatar and Palando.
Did I? Oh, man. All right. So, Tom, coming back to this storyline, we come back with Tom saying, look, it's time for you to find your staff.
Your Gand.
Oh, your Gand. Oh. I just, after all, the Dark Wizard has found his. Now, that part bothered me a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so, I mean, we already know the Dark Wizard interacted with Tom, right? You're not the first Eastar to eat honey by my fire.
Right.
Wah, wah. Wah, wah.
Tom has a very special fire, though.
He really, and it's very special honey. So, but that means that he apparently led the Dark Wizard to this same place and said, it's time for you to find your staff, your Gand, your whatever. And apparently he did. So that's interesting. I guess we're going to get more on that, more on the Dark Wizard and Tom and their past interactions. But for now, I can't even speculate there. Instead, we look out on this valley filled with essentially dead trees and branches. I have a hard time even putting this into words because Tom's phrase here, the condition, like you're only going to find it when the vision of your heart is single to the service of the secret fire. Did I get that right? Because I didn't have the captions.
He says, you will find your true staff. I won't try to do an accent, although it wouldn't matter because if I got it wrong. I'm sorry.
Wow, brutal.
I'm sorry.
Just bounce it around, make it, go from east to west, north to south.
Yes. You'll find your true staff only when the vision of your heart is single to the service of the secret fire.
Okay, I actually got that right.
You got it right, yeah.
Which after the Snorri incident.
It doesn't help because it still doesn't make sense.
The thing.
At least they say service of the secret fire for the first time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is a little more in line with...
And it connects with,
being a servant of the secret.
Yeah.
Yes, that's clearly what they're...
Because if you are going to serve the secret fire, give the secret fire your service, then you are its servants. Okay.
Yes.
But it does feel more and more like a Star Wars like mystical force, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talked about the midichlorian count before, and now I'm wondering if since the Dark Wizard went one way, he can force choke people. I'm waiting for him to do that to one of the acolytes. It's a little...
Yeah.
I don't even know how to put my finger on it. I don't like it.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
How did I know that was coming right after I said it? I'm like, I just set her up with a softball right down the middle, man. If she doesn't do this, I'm going to have to. Good job. That was not my favorite moment. But I think we've long spoken about how this storyline is just not the strength compared to the others.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not moving the story along.
No.
They seem to be just sort of sticking here. I want something to happen now. Do something.
And it feels like, because it's so clearly Gandalf, it just feels like they're trying to do a little fan service. Well, let's give a Gandalf backstory.
Right.
No, really, don't worry about doing that. Please just move the narrative along. I want something to happen now.
And that's where we get into the conversation that really gave us the most trouble, because the stranger expresses his concern about Nori. If I don't find her soon, she, actually both of them, right? Nori and Poppy will die. If I don't find them soon, they're going to die. And this is where pulling lines from the movies totally backfires for me. Look, I know it's a book line, but can we be clear? Can we all acknowledge, because they're giving it to Tom to say to Gandalf, it's clear they are referencing the movie version of this line.
It wouldn't even matter either way, right?
No.
Book line, movie line. It's used it's a great example of how you can use exactly the same words to mean the exact opposite thing in a different
180
context.
degrees. Yeah.
180 degrees. Let's talk about that more.
This one was so wrong.
It was totally wrong. This burned most of the goodwill the show has earned with me for the last 5 episodes.
So just to remind everyone, let me read the lines.
Yeah.
Many that desire... Well, so this is the stranger expressing concern about them
They're going to die.
Right. Many that die deserve life. Some that live deserve death. Who are you to give it to them? Now, let's just remind people where the context in which the film, where in the film this is said. Who says it? What's the context?
Right.
Gandalf says it to Frodo in the Mines of Moria in the film, right?
Right. And what's the context? What's it in response to?
It's about Frodo wishing Gollum was dead.
And that's the same context in the books. I mean, it's not in the same location. It's in the Shadow of the Past, so it's in the living room of the home in the Shire.
Exactly. But the point is...
It's the same context.
That it's a positive. It's saying...
Yes.
Don't be so quick to deal out death and judgment.
Right. In fact, that is the line. That is the follow-up line. Don't be so quick.
Exactly. Yeah. It's specifically, it's not for you to decide who should die.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden, Tom Bombadil seems to be saying it's not for you to decide who to save and who should live.
Yeah. It's just wild. It literally means the exact opposite of this. This is trying to tell Frodo, you have to understand that you don't have the authority inherent in you. Since you don't have the ability to give people life when they deserve it, you don't have the authority to give people death when you think they deserve it. Mm-hmm. That is not in your purview. That is above your pay grade, Frodo Baggins. And it is not your job. And because of that, you need to not be so fast to consider death as a judgment.
Yeah.
Because even the wise, even I, Frodo, even I, Mr. Gandalf himself, the very wise cannot see all ends. I don't know what's going to happen. And so therefore, We don't kill people just because we think they deserve death. It's not our place to make
I actually think it's one of the most important lines.
It is. It is
in
absolutely.
the whole book.
It is.
It is a really important line.
Mm-hmm.
It actually changes the way in which Frodo sees Gollum.
Yep.
It's all about getting pity and helping him to get that empathy and be like, hey.
Without which would Gollum actually have been where he was at the very end?
No.
It is such an important line. And this is a mangling of that I found a little egregious.
Can I just play devil's advocate just slightly? I hate to do
I'd
this.
love for somebody to, because I can't. I literally can't.
There's a problem with what I'm about to say, but let me say it first and then I'll explain what I think the problem is. The fact that this is stated wrongly in sort of the opposite context doesn't mean it's true. It could be that this is a lesson that Gandalf is then going to take these words and realize that the opposite is true.
Yeah.
The only problem with that is it's Tom Bombadil saying it.
I know. Tom Bombadil.
If it had been the Dark Wizard saying it, or it had been Sauron saying it, then I think we could say, Gandalf is going to actually take these words and twist them around to mean the opposite.
He meant it one way, but I understand it a different way, and I'm going to use it this different way.
But coming from Tom,
it doesn't work.
It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, the idea that Gandalf got this incredible line, and I mean, it is, like you said, Sarah, one of the most important lines of the book, one of the most important lines in the films, because without that pity, not only does Frodo make different decisions, but he then teaches Sam that same pity, who makes the decision in the books to not kill Gollum when he could.
Yep.
Thus saving the entire world, because he ends up being there at the end to be used by Iluvatar to get the ring destroyed. My whole point is, massively important line. For him to get this from Tom Bombadil in the context of Tom suggesting that he let his friends die doesn't fit Tom in the slight. Tom is not a pragmatist. Tom is certainly not a cruel pragmatist.
No, this is totally misunderstanding Tom Bombadil.
He doesn't care about the bigger picture. He's never cared about the bigger picture. That's not who Tom is, but he will bust through a grave wall to save his friends. He'll pull a Mr. Kool-Aid Man. Hey!
We get the
I have no idea what you just did there, but okay.
1970s television commercials with a big glass pitcher filled with Kool-Aid and a smile on his face comes popping through the wall. Anyway.
Okay.
I was going to say the thing that makes it even worse is what's coming up, which is when the stranger's saying she's my friend, Tom Bombadil says, your friend or your destiny, the choice is yours. In what world would Tom pick destiny? I
know. Tom's always going to pick friend. Why would this is...
Tom is the least interested in destiny of any character in Lord of the Rings.
If you gave me a list of every character in the entire Lord of the Rings, he is the last one that I would think would give you the trolley problem. Right? I mean, what in the world? Oh, you got this train that's going on a train. It's going to kill 5 people, but if you turn it this way, it'll kill somebody. What? Stop with this. What the heck is the trolley problem doing in Tom Bombadil's pocket? This makes no sense to me.
No, it doesn't. And it's what's really sad about this in some ways is they were so keen to have Tom Bombadil, right?
Yes. Yeah.
They really wanted to have Tom Bombadil. Okay, fine. You want to have Tom Bombadil.
Right.
Don't misunderstand the entire character of Tom Bombadil.
Yes, that's the thing.
If you're going to do him, and let's be honest, he's not really been on our screens before, then please represent Tom Bombadil as he actually was.
Yeah.
And I understand why they've got to make some changes to bits and pieces, but you cannot make him the complete diametric opposite to who he is.
Especially when you lift him lock, stock, and barrel from the Old Forest and the Withywindle Valley
and
into Rune, including his killer tree in the front yard. I mean, you've literally given him the exact same lines that you gave him that Tolkien gave him in the books, and then you give him this. It does not make any sense, and it really. I hate to say this because look, we've talked about the fact that we met these people, we know these people, we know the passion and love that they poured into this project, but wow. This show had earned a lot more goodwill from me the first 5 episodes of second season, especially last week. I felt like, okay, they finally earned some cred. They have spent all that credit in this one scene, they have absolutely spent it and their balance is back to zero. This makes zero sense.
But the worst thing is, this entire scene could have just not been. I don't think it actually gained us anything. I don't think it moved the narrative forward. I don't think it did anything important. I think it was 5 minutes they could have used on something else.
Yeah.
I honestly think this episode would have been better without this scene.
Just without
it didn't do anything.
Yeah. Just say, we're going to go find your staff and cut the rest. Like, I don't need to see this. If you eliminate this scene, the episode is actually pretty solid, and I'm probably not so grouchy. But, I was chatting with Matt from Nerd of the Rings about this exact scene. He said something that I did get his permission to quote him, and he said it better than I could have. It is a total perversion of the actual lesson of pity for Gollum. That is exactly what this is.
Yeah.
It throws that away. It mocks it. It burns it. It's just, I'm so disappointed in their total failure to understand what this line meant. But
yeah,
they did have one Tom moment, and it was when he tells him something and then the stranger turns around and Tom's gone. That felt very Tom-like. Just poof, he's vanished. That's what he does. All right. Let's move on. Because if we don't, we're going to be sitting on that line all day griping about it forever. And people are going to be like, these people are always negative. No, we're not. We loved so much of this episode. The Celebrimbor Anatar stuff, fantastic, off the charts. Khazad-dûm we'll get to, absolutely amazing. Númenor stuff, really, really pretty good. Wow, this line just tanked.
So yes, it did.
Let's move on and we'll pretend it didn't happen.
I'm going to pretend it never happened.
Exactly. All right. So now that we've moved on from that particular train wreck, let's go to the Harfoots and Stores, where Nori, after a little conversation with Gund, is suggesting that the Stores flee and get away from the danger of the Galdrim. But James, I want to throw this to you because you are our resident word nerd. My word nerdery has increased of late, but it is not yet to your level. She mentions her home, this smial, she says. Can we take a brief sidebar? I want to discuss this pronunciation with you.
Yeah, it struck me as odd initially because the sort of traditional pronunciation is smile.
Yeah.
I want to make clear that we don't know for sure the pronunciation that was intended. We have suggestions in a draft of Appendix F that Tolkien intended it to be pronounced smile, and that's what most people pronounce it as.
Yep.
But we have to remember, this is not an Elvish word. So if you followed the Elvish pronunciation rules, it would be smear.
It would be smial, true.
But it's not an Elvish word. It's not even actually an in-world word. It's one of these analogical translations that Tolkien does.
Yes.
But interestingly, it's sort of a reconstructed what would have happened if a certain Old English word family had continued to present day English. So it's not even it's not an Old English word either.
Or it's a form of what the Old English word would have looked like in modern English.
Exactly. And that's why that's where the smile pronunciation comes in, because you need the great vowel shift to explain why it would be.
That makes sense.
Would be smile. But I do want to say a little bit about this Old English word family, because it's kind of fun. A lot of listeners probably know this, but some might not. The underlying word that we get smile from comes up in multiple other places in the story, and I think it's really fun. So the Old English had a verb, smoogen, which meant to creep, and its past tense was smeg.
Yeah,
there was an adjective smeg, which came from the sort of Proto-West Germanic form of that would have been smaug, and so we get smaug, we get smeagol, all coming from this same word family, with this idea of creeping, or it ended up being an Old English noun, smooger, which meant a burrow, a hole that was burrowed. And that's the word that Tolkien basically said, had it continued into present day English, it would be most likely spelt S-M-I-A-L and pronounced smile because of the great vowel shift. I'm willing to let them go with the pronunciation smial on the grounds that this is a few thousand years earlier.
Yes, I like that.
And
that
so
works.
I don't know if that was deliberately done, but in that's sort of my headcanon, that they're basically saying, okay, we haven't had the great vowel shift yet. We're not going to call it smile. Of course, that's not what happened, because the last thing I'll make on this point is that we do actually know the Hobbitish and Westron words for this. So the Hobbitish word for a smile is tran, and the verb which was used actually for Smeagol's actual name,
Right.
was Trahold.
Right.
So they could. It's interesting they chose to use Sousa.
Yeah,
or
considering
Sousa.
they used Sousa. That's exactly
Yeah.
what I was thinking. They used the original.
I mean, it was obviously a hat tip to people who are familiar with the term smile, but
Yeah.
whether it was a mispronunciation and accidentally using Elvish pronunciation, or whether they were actually trying to say, you know what, earlier on in an earlier stage, it would have been pronounced, or it wouldn't,
Which is fair.
it would have been pronounced with the equivalent of how we would pronounce it. It's complicated because
the
of course
old
it's
English
not, but yeah.
word itself would have been pronounced. Say it one more time to make sure we get that right. The
Old English noun for a burrow
for a burrow
is smuggle.
Smuggle. Okay, that's right, because the Y is pronounced like the U.
What started to happen, and I don't know, it may have even happened early on in Old English, in a lot of cases that G became palatalized as a Y. And that's why if you look at so many Germanic words and their English equivalents, a word that has a G in German will have a Y
Yes.
in English. So day is Tag in German.
Right.
The German word for windy
Of
is
course.
windig. So it's got
Yes.
the G. IG
The G
became
becomes a Y.
the
Yeah.
eat sound.
Which is interesting because in this case we have a Y, but that Y, of course, in Old English was pronounced like the German U, or the U with the umlauts, right? The one where you make an U with your mouth but say the E.
Exactly.
So it's yeah.
Exactly.
And that's why it's yeah.
Yeah. It's also, just as a completely unrelated side note, this is why, so there's also pairs. We get the Smeagol and the Smaug thing that I mentioned.
Yeah, I love those
and
connections, by the way. The Smaug connection. I love.
You get a lot of pairs of that. There's a lot of the German word Traum is English dream, where the EA corresponds to the AU. So we get a lot of that. The old West Germanic, the Proto-West Germanic is an AU, but in English it comes out as an EA. But this is related to, I was flying on a Icelandic air flight once, and there's a chocolate bar you can get in Iceland that's written Draume, and it would be pronounced Draume in Old Norse.
Okay.
But in Iceland, I'm going to butcher the Icelandic pronunciation, but the Icelandic pronunciation is probably more like Treimer or something like that. It's the vowels change, much like in English.
Yeah.
Draum became dream.
Dream.
And I asked for this chocolate in Old Norse. I was studying Old Norse at the time. I'm going to ask for this chocolate in Old Norse. And the funny thing about that is that if you spoke Old English to a British Airways flight attendant, they wouldn't know what on earth you were saying.
No, they wouldn't have a clue.
But because Icelandic has not changed that much from Old Norse, the flight attendant knew what I was saying.
Wow.
And just laughed and said, "Oh, we don't say it like that anymore."
Maybe 600 years ago we did.
She knew how
That's
it was.
awesome.
It was a wonderful lesson in how much closer Icelandic is to Old Norse.
That is amazing.
It was that same AU sound. But anyway,
love that.
So
That is
Smeagol,
great.
Smaug are all related to smile.
Yep.
And if we're being generous, I think we can argue that the pronunciation as smial is actually a fun little hat tip to that. It's an earlier phase. Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense. And I like that approach because, I like that because it enables us to say, okay, that works. Just like last time when we were talking about Turin-Gorthad and how that is the correct Sindarin pronunciation because the Y in Sindarin is a vowel and it's pronounced the same way as that German umlauted U, right? The U. Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
But
And
the
the same way in
Gondorian
Welsh.
pronunciation would be Turin-Gorthad because they changed it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
And I'm like,
exactly.
I'm all with that. I'm good. All right.
That's always what I tell people if they get their Elvish wrong, and I do. And Tolkien himself, if you listen to recordings of Tolkien, he sometimes screws it up too.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of recordings, and I know we can't always use audiobooks as authoritative, but in both the existing audiobook versions of The Lord of the Rings, it is pronounced smile by the narrators. Now, again, who knows? Because for a long time, I mispronounced the name of the Holy Mountain because Shaw mispronounced it in the audiobook of the Silmarillion. But so I know that that's not in and of itself determinative, but it is sort of like, okay, I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, and he did butcher a few words, to be honest. I mean, every time he said
that
took
was
me right out of the story.
Another tough one for sure. So coming back to the smeal or the smile, she's talking about how long she's been here. She points to the tree. I've been tending that tree, for basically my entire life. Married my husband in its shadow, buried him under the tree. Very heart-touching scene. You can see the tear running down her face. She's, really, you can feel the sense of loss and the sense of home. Like, this is where we live. We have this permanence, this sense of place. This isn't just our residence.
Exactly. And if I can just make for once an Australian cultural reference rather than an American cultural reference, there's a great Australian film called The Castle, and then there's a line in it where it's about a guy fighting for his home, his house that's going to be claimed by eminent domain. And he has this line where he says, "It's not just a house, it's a home."
Yes.
And I thought of that in this context. That's what this is about.
Yeah.
But it isn't just really where we live, it's our home.
Yeah. And that's something that you can understand. Nori just can't seem to get her arms around, and understandably so, given that she is a Harfoot, this sort of migratory group of people. They don't settle down. They move all the time.
They don't have a home.
And it works both ways, because Gundabala's been confused by this notion that you just move every month, right? It's a fascinating meeting of different cultures.
It is. And you wonder sort of how that's going to resolve itself. I mean, I am at least interested in that aspect of the Hobbit lines, right? I want to meet the Fallowhides next season and see how these three, end up coming together to form the Shire at some point. But in this sequence, right, she suggests she's going to turn herself in, and that, leads us over to Poppy. And sorry, you already referenced this scene, the moment of romance between them. Did you eat lizard or something? Oh, man, I just felt so bad. I wanted to just squeeze into a hole and just disappear. I felt so bad for nobody.
Poppy was still happy. She got a kiss.
Yeah, she wasn't complaining. She would have gone in for more. But yeah, dental hygiene, probably not a thing. But we do cut to the two of them together, and it was cute. They're having this little conversation, turning herself in. Poppy's like, no, we have to fight, right? We've got to be willing to fight for this. And in some ways, even though she doesn't say this, for them, right? Talking about the Stewards. And I think that's going to lead to a very interesting moment, some sort of confrontation with the Galdrim. That's for another time, because now, folks, we move to probably actually my favorite of the storylines in this particular episode, because there wasn't a cringy moment. Instead, it was all good, and it had some of the most fantastic acting when we'll get to it in a bit. But Khazad-dûm. We're literally hitting all the storylines here. My assumption is that's because we're not going to get much of them once the battle for Eregion gets underway. So we're trying to get a lot of this stuff in. But it is still a lot, right? You've got the Arondir, you've got Adar and the Orcs, you've got Eregion, you've got the Stranger and Tom, you've got Nori and Poppy. It's like, wow, can we kind of condense these lines a little bit? But we open with a very active Khazad-dûm. There's digging down below. We've got treasure being brought in those wheelbarrows. If only we had a wheelbarrow. We don't have any because they're all in Khazad-dûm. Bringing treasure to King
Why didn't
Dor.
you list that amongst our possessions?
Why did you list that among?
Notice, of course, that the gold that's been taken from the mines has already been made into something, because it's like gold coins and cups and all sorts that are tipped down. Maybe
this is the treasure from the other houses, right? The from the other dwarves that are sending half their
for the rings, the price of the rings.
For the rings.
Yeah. But I want to come back to what you said, Sara, which is still with me from last week. That observation, I know you've made it before, and I know you've done a lot of study of this, the fact that gold versus silver, evil, gold is much more associated with greed and evil than silver.
Yes.
Anytime I saw the gold, I now think of it. Think of that.
Yes, it's the effect I have on people. I'm now inside your head, and you're never getting rid of me.
Saratar.
Did you discuss that? Did you discuss that in your doctoral thesis?
Yes.
Is that an aspect of your doctoral
that's
thesis?
where I first was talking about it.
Yeah, I thought so.
Good stuff. Well, I will say this much. Again, Bear McCreary knocking it out of the park. The discordant notes in the Dwarven theme here were off the charts good. I mean, if that didn't give you a sense of something is deeply wrong here, then you were not listening. This was so good. Just fantastic stuff. So Prince Durin arrives, you summoned me, Dad? No. And in a moment that absolutely gave me the heebie-jeebies, he did.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, oh, God, I know who this is. This is not good. And it is Anatar. And that really gave me...
But I love Prince Durin's sass.
Oh, I do too. He's the only one with a brain around these parts who just, and Disa, does not trust Anatar at all. I was thinking of the moment in the forge in Eregion, from last week. And Disa, of course, was waiting for him outside. But yeah, he's like the only one who meets Anatar who says, I see through you. You are not who anybody says you are, and I don't trust you as far as I can throw you. And with your bad back, Durin, you shouldn't be throwing anybody. So Anatar lays out the situation. They need Mithril now. And I love this. He starts off with what's frankly a really low ball offer. We can give you wood for Mithril. Wood.
Whoopie-doo.
If we wanted wood. Nevertheless, they will have need of wood.
I'm thinking of Donna Noble. The classic. It doesn't work on wood. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, I think she says it doesn't do wood or something. I can't remember, but anyway.
Good stuff.
That's what I think of that word, the way she says wood. Anyway, go on.
Anyway, go on. I love that. So he really lowballs him, and it's interesting because the Prince Durin, and it's always kind of like Durin this and Durin that. Well, which Durin? The prince suggests, maybe we should discuss this privately, but the king, he's already made up his mind. He's already got his answer. And I love it. The answer's no. The answer is just no.
Yeah, and it shocked you. Yeah.
It really shocked me because it was like, of course we're going to give you this because we want more power. I did think it might have been a little over the top that we see the Balrog in the flame when Anatar looks at it.
Yeah.
Kind of like, okay, I get it.
I was fine. I was fine with that.
Too.
I thought it's just this way of saying Anatar realizes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, they have a Balrog. Yeah.
They have a Balrog.
They have a cave troll.
I've been looking for him. I wonder if it's the one that I lost all those years ago.
It's because they're probably mates.
We'll have to see if there's if he's wearing the collar and he's got whatever his name is, Fluffy. That's his name.
Fluffy McBalrog.
Well, I don't know. The Balrogs weren't the pets, right? I mean, the dragons were the ones that that's what I'm thinking. They just probably hung out at the pub. The Balrogs.
Yeah.
The Evil Maya Club is pretty small.
Yeah.
So
it's a small collection of evil Maiar. You've got the Valaraukar. You've got Sauron. You've got arguably now Saruman has joined the club. Yeah.
Hopefully not at this point, but
well, no,
we don't know. We don't know.
I don't know. That dark wizard's looking pretty spooky to me.
Oh, hush, no.
But I will say this, boy, when Anatar leaves, you were like, you guys are screwed. Yes. The look on his face is just I am done with you. You're absolutely toast. And that's bad. That's really, really bad. Can I break up my pedant card for a minute? Because Durin is really happy with his dad. Durin's very happy, Prince Durin, with his father's decision. He goes, oh, thank Owley. I thought you'd lost your mind. This is where I need to remind you all, just because I'm that way.
Because you have to do it at least once every episode.
At least. They would call him Mahal the Maker, not Owley. But all right, I get it. The name isn't in the appendices, and nobody knows the name Mahal anymore than any of the other names for the Valar. So Owley, everybody knows. All right, done with that. Putting the pedant card.
Just remember, they're not speaking English either.
No, that's true, but
that's translated for our benefit. So,
but if it's translated into English, then I don't know. I don't know what Owley's name in English is, but all right. Look, the prince is happy that at least for now the king has said no, but it's only because the king is like, no, we got this guy where we want him.
Exactly.
Yes, it's not about being sensible. It's about holding out for more gold.
It's about being even greedier. Yeah. There's never been enough mithril to make armor and weapons for an entire army, has there? My understanding is it's so rare.
Well, given that the mithril shirt that Bilbo's given and gives to Frodo is worth more than the entire Shire.
Right.
There can't be many of those.
No. And it was a small one, made for like a princeling, Yeah, I have a feeling maybe you could equip like a special operations platoon with some mithril armor and weapons, but that's probably about all. And I can't imagine an army, and I sure hope they don't go that route.
Oh, well, it's weird because in their portrayal of mithril so far, it's been in very tiny quantities.
Yes.
Oh, very. Yeah. And they haven't needed much.
Right.
Oh, I guess that would be the thing. They would just use a mithril alloy. Yeah.
I suppose, a touch of sprinkle. Yeah,
just a sprinkle of mithril.
Just a little extra seasoning.
Like the salt guy.
Salt guy.
Salt Bay. We're referencing Salt Bay now.
Yes. That was the reference you weren't expecting.
Really
we have
is,
gone
yeah.
off the deep end, folks. We really have. And that's because the whole world's gone mad, as King Durin has observed. James as well. The whole, we are all crazy here. Narvi is going to double the work teams. We are digging more. That's because at some point we have to free the Balrog. Justice for the Balrog.
Freedom for the Balrog.
Exactly. Prince Durin, man, take the ring off. I take the ring off. We get that Bilbo moment, and
Yep.
Mine, my own, my
yes.
precious.
belongs to me.
Yes.
I did like, though, how Durin turned that line around, right? No, it's mine. It belongs to me. And Prince Durin, no, you belong to it. Wow.
Yeah.
He is the voice of reason here. And I am here for it. I love that moment. It was like, again, he is the only one who seems to see through this. He is so good at this. And I do hope that we continue to see him being the voice of reason, not just in the Khazad-dûm line, but even in his interactions with Elrond and the elves, which I'm hoping we get back to very soon. And based on what we saw in the trailer, he will be, because I think there was a line about, I need
Fight for our
I
friends.
need your axe, Yeah, exactly. So when he tries to remove it by force, we get that scene that we saw in the trailer, him being flung across the room and dismissed. I mean, really a
bit of behind the scenes as well.
Oh,
There's
that's
some
right.
footage of Owain getting dragged along with wires.
Exactly. Yeah. I remember seeing that as well. And that's when we get to one of the best scenes so far, frankly, in the show. I will say that this scene for me, the scene with him and Disa here is got to be top 3 out of all the scenes in both seasons. It's certainly in terms of acting.
Yes.
I mean, Owain Arthur just absolutely moved me to tears. I still see my father, and you just feel for what he must be experiencing. It's so...
Yeah, I saw somebody say on social media just that how well it captured what it's like to have a family member with addiction issues.
Yes.
Yeah.
They brought up this point that it's not, you can't just dismiss it as, oh, it's not them, it's the drugs or whatever. No, you see them, you see their eyes.
They're still there.
And that was captured so well in this writing.
It really was. Lost and far away, yes, but he's still in there. And boy, does that speak to that addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can even say in some ways, having gone through this with a couple of relatives, there's a little bit, maybe a little bit less than addiction, but there's a little bit of a similarity with sort of the early stages of any sort of dementia.
I was thinking that too.
You still see the person there,
Yes.
Yeah,
but they're changing and they're never going to change back.
And they're never going to come back. And that's the thing. Here, at least, he's got some hope that maybe if we can get rid of the ring, the influence of the ring, that we will be able to get him back. But man, Sophia Novetti rocketed again too. Our queen.
There is a reason why
We call
Disa
her.
is our queen.
She's so
amazing.
good.
She just is amazing. Even though she often only gets a very few lines, the majority of lines are going to the big areas of the story, and fine. But whatever lines she gets, she just makes the most out of them. She's an extraordinary actor. I'm really in awe
really is.
of the way in which she and Owain Arthur have built this chemistry between them, which is off the charts good.
Yeah.
And this moment between them feels so real.
Especially when we get that little hint of her own relationship with her father. Aule knows he's, twice the father that my own father ever was, or something like that. And he's like, that just hits even harder. Like, you realize how much a parent-in-law can be a rock for somebody who's grown up without that. And here she's trying to, empathize with Durin. Look, I hear that. I miss him too, but for us to save him, we've got to fight him. We have to act now, because what does she say? Every dwarf in this mountain is in peril. She's right. This entire kingdom is hanging by a thread. We've got to stop him.
Yeah.
At whatever the cost. And very interesting scene, because then we get the confrontation, right? She's down there. Narvi and his team come down to do some digging, and Disa just turns around and sings the bat song.
I mean, her singing, it seems so discordant, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, when she's singing it. I love this little scene, many things about it. Narvi's clear reluctance to confront Disa. He doesn't want to do that. There is, I think, great respect between these two people.
I think there is. And I think Narvi's going to end up on their side. I really do.
Oh, I bloomin' hope so.
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
It may take more convincing, but he's seen problems too. He's tried to explain to King Durin, we cannot keep digging. This is not good.
He's following orders at the moment, isn't he? So
yeah.
Sorry, I just had a thought about Narvi. If Celebrimbor is killed soon, which we suspect he will be, then maybe Narvi will be installing maybe we'll get a scene with Narvi installing the door by himself.
Oh.
In sort of memory of Celebrimbor, Celebrimbor should have been here for this too, but Anyway, sorry, just a thought talking about Narvi.
No, I think you might be right.
yes.
Yeah.
If Narvi does turn out to be, on the side of good, as you suggest, Alan, which I think
he will.
I'm hoping it will.
I mean, isn't carved onto the doors something like, I, Narvi, made them? Yeah, made this.
Celebrimbor made the signs or something like that.
Yeah, which again, if that part was written by Narvi after Celebrimbor has died.
That'll be
sorry to distract her from the scene.
I can see that actually being the closing scene of the season.
Better hurry up. They've got 2 episodes left.
I know, but that's sort of like the epilogue of the season would be him
the putting the doors there.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, the bats, let's get back to this little scene here.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm not 100% sure about the scene the bats in.
Yeah.
It's okay, all right, fine. I mean, if we must. I'm not sure about the bats. But the idea that Disa, through the use of her voice, which is a power in and of itself, is able to do things that are outside of the norm. I can be on board with this. Yeah. And they're going to need all the help they can get. It's just bats. Why bats? Not sure about the bats.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's more like she moved a door that was keeping the bats all in.
I don't think she sang the bats into being.
She's not queen of the bats. Yes, that's
queen of the bats.
That's more Sauron's department.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Disa's other name is Thuringwethel.
No, exactly. No, don't you dare do that to my Disa.
I totally am kidding. I did like, at the end of that when Durin comes out, I love you.
Right.
Great. That was such a great moment.
Yes, because there's a man who recognizes that he's a 7, his wife's a 10.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, he is batting above his average with Disa.
He certainly is.
And gentlemen out there, you can be in love with a powerful woman.
Yes, thank you, James. Yes, indeed. And it does
find yourself a Disa.
It does not impugn your own masculinity.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, because I dare anybody to tell Prince Durin that he's less of a man.
Oh, good luck.
Good luck with that.
Yes.
And of course, that line ends with the whole idea of, they'll be back and there'll be more of them. I don't know about you, but that, again, probably because I'd had some other Star Wars moments with the Force, it totally put me in mind of Obi-Wan. They'll soon be back.
And in greater numbers.
Thank you, Obi-Wan. And now we're thinking about the Sand People. But folks, believe it or not, again, after another long, drawn-out episode, that concludes another episode of the Rings of Power Wrap-Up. Please be sure to join us again next week, right after Episode 7 drops. Hard to believe we've just got a couple episodes left this season.
Oh, goodness knows they've got a lot to do in the last 2 episodes. But thanks to the team that helps us get this show out there every week, our editor Jordan Rannells, our barliman Becca Davis, social media manager Casey Hilsey, and our website guru Phil Dean.
And speaking of the website, please check it out at ringswrapup.com. We've got show notes, our online storefront, and one of these days, maybe a few outtakes.
You'll also want to take a look at our library page. Now, this show may be about the Amazon adaptation, but the 3 of us are first and foremost fans of the books. So we provided links for you to get all the lore, and we do get a few pennies from the purchases you make there, so thank you.
Now, one last thing as always, don't forget to send your thoughts, comments, and most of all, the iconic movie lines you'd like not to hear on this show to Barliman at theprancingponypodcast.com. And if you want a chance to have your actual voice heard, you can send us audio of you asking us your question by visiting podinbox.com/prancingponypod and record your question for us.
But be sure to send the question to Barliman too. Now, we have been able to rely on Parliament lately, but we do get a lot of mail. So we'll get to you when we can. Your question or comment may be featured on a future episode.
As always, though, this has been far too short a time to spend among such excellent and admirable listeners. But until next time.
Farewell, friends.